It is rare to find anyone who has never gotten angry at least once. Some get angry and forget. Some get angry and suffer. And some get angry and then torment themselves. Resentment, if it is just a fleeting moment, is like a wind blowing through a meadow. It may cause no harm, but if it becomes a habit, becomes a familiar way of reacting to life, then it will be like an underground fire smoldering in the mind, burning up even the most beautiful things in a person's heart. Anger, san, in Buddhist teachings, is one of the three poisons: greed, anger, and ignorance. It is also one of the 10 fundamental afflictions that bind the consciousness of sentient beings to the cycle of rebirth. But the subtle thing is that most angry people do not think they are angry. We call it being hot, being annoyed, being sad, being tired. But few can name the anger within themselves. Anger sometimes does not need a raised voice. Just a cold look, a silence used to punish, or a sarcastic remark is enough to crack a relationship. The closer the relationship, the easier it is for anger to catch fire. Because loved ones are those we expect the most from, and also those whose mistakes we accept the least. Anger is not just a manifestation of psychology, but a manifestation of suffering. The suffering that has not been seen, not been named, not been touched. Because anger does not come from outsiders, what comes from within. What makes us angry is sometimes not because the other person is wrong, but because the wound within us was touched accurately. There are old pains like calluses at the bottom of the heart. Just a light touch, and they become raw again. And resentment is the armor that we unconsciously put on so that no one sees our fragility and weakness. The more expectations a person has, the easier it is to get angry. The more a person feels they are right, the easier it is to rise up in anger. The more pain a person is in, the easier it is to be grumpy and irritable. But few see that resentment is a form of self-torture in the hope that others will change. Anger is when we demand others to understand, to do as we wish without needing to put ourselves in their shoes. And when things don't go our way, we get angry as a way of internal protest. But in the journey of cultivation, the Buddha taught that there is no path to compassion that retains resentment. Compassion is not suppressing oneself to not get angry. Compassion is not hiding anger to keep the peace. Compassion is a deeper level, where there are no longer conditions for anger to arise. Because a compassionate person sees that the person causing hurt is also suffering, the person insulting us is also ignorant. Unwholesome people are not that way because they are evil, but because they know no other escape. From resentment to compassion is not a jump, but a journey of a healing mind, a mind that begins to return to listen to itself, begins to bear looking deeply into the wounds within, begins to let go of the need to be right, begins to understand that forgiveness is not so the other person can be at peace, but so that one stops tormenting oneself. The person who can transform resentment is the person who has begun to know how to practice, because practicing is not sitting in meditation to be quiet, but seeing the root of suffering and transforming it. Resentment is a suffering born of delusion and nourished by ignorance. Only when there is mindfulness, wisdom, and kindness can resentment settle down like dust in still water. Otherwise, anger just waits for an occasion to surge up. When we do not guard our minds, the journey from anger to kindness is the journey of a person who has suffered, been wrong, been angry, but was awake enough to turn back. Not everyone is born knowing how to love, but everyone has the seed of compassion within them. That seed, if not watered by mindfulness and understanding, will remain buried by habits and trauma. But if cared for, it can rise and bloom right in the land where resentment once reigned. The Buddha once taught that hatred cannot be ceased by hatred. Only love can cease hatred. That is an eternal law. That saying is not just a philosophy, but a practice guide. In every situation, we can choose to be angry or choose to understand, can choose to retaliate or choose to let go, can choose who is right and wrong or choose who is suffering and needs love. That choice is not easy, but when we know how to stop, breathe deeply, and look carefully, we will see that the person making us suffer is suffering just like us. They may be rude, but not because they are strong, but because they are weak inside a tough shell. They may shout, but that is because they do not know how to express themselves any other way. And if we also get angry back, then they're just two suffering people. But if we can be silent for a moment, sometimes a person is saved. The journey from resentment to compassion is not walking to become a Buddha, but walking to return to being a human. Being a human in the true sense is someone who can feel the pain of others and not make that pain larger. Compassion does not come when one still nurtures anger. Resentment, ultimately, is not a fixed nature of humans, but a habit nurtured by ignorance and suffering. Just as soul does not inherently have thorns, but if not cared for, a wild forest of thorns will grow. The human mind is the same. If there is no light of mindfulness, the darkness of resentment will spread naturally. The Buddha taught that an angry person is like someone holding a glowing coal in their hand, waiting to throw it at someone else. But while waiting, they are the first to get burned. Anger not only burns others, but burns ourselves as well. It causes our appearance to change, makes sleep restless, turns words harsh, causes the body to become sick, and leaves no room in the mind for peace. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha said clearly, there is no fire like resentment, no abyss like an evil mind. Anger makes us lose ourselves. When angry, we say words that are not right, do things we should not do. How many relationships shattered? How many loved ones left? How many people tormenting each other all started from an anger that was not recognized? Why are we angry? Because we are attached to the self, attached to the idea that I was insulted, I was treated unfairly, I am right, the other is wrong. And when that self is hurt, we react like a hedgehog raising its quills. But if we look closely, what is that self? It is fame, profit, status, the image of oneself. And are all those things truly oneself? If this body is impermanent, can the words anyone says truly hurt us? Understanding this, we see that anger is just a reaction of an untrained mind, a mind not yet clear enough, not yet calm enough, not yet compassionate enough to see things as they are. Buddhist teachings do not advise us to suppress anger, but teach us to contemplate it, observe it like a cloud passing by. Do not identify with it. Do not let it drive us. Because if we let anger lead the way, we will get lost in dark places and then blame life, blame people, without knowing that our own minds cast the shadow. To have compassion, one must uproot the roots of anger. Compassion does not arise from effort, but arises from understanding. Understanding people, understanding oneself, understanding that everyone is suffering. Then compassion will come naturally. But if one only suppresses oneself to not get angry, yet inside there is still resentment and blame, then it is only suppression, not liberation. In the Dhammapada, verse 3 and 5, the Buddha taught, in this world hatred cannot be ceased by hatred. Only love can cease hatred. That is an eternal law. And in the Majjhima Nikaya, the discourse on the advice to Rahula, he taught Rahula, be like the earth, which can contain everything, without anger, without reaction, without exclusion. A practitioner must also be like that. When hearing unpleasant words, when being insulted, still do not let waves rise in your mind. Furthermore, in the Samyutta Nikaya, the section on anger, the Buddha taught, just as a person shot by a poison arrow, if they let themselves be shot by a second arrow, it is even more painful. Likewise, a person who's insulted and nurtures anger is like being hit by a second arrow, suffering double. Those teachings are not to threaten, but to open our eyes. Buddha does not force anyone to endure in a suppressive way, but points out a way to look deeply, so the mind no longer has the conditions to get angry. The story of Sariputra, from patience to the light of compassion. Once the Venerable Sariputra was walking for alms on the road when he was shoved down and verbally abused by a hot-tempered Brahmin, but he did not react at all. His face remained calm, his posture composed as if nothing had happened. The Brahmin shouted angrily, "What kind of monk are you that you don't react when shoved? Aren't you angry?" Sariputra clasped his hands gently. "I am learning compassion, not because I am weak, but because I do not want to sow more resentment." The other man got even angrier and rushed to hit him hard, but he remained silent. A villager saw this and said angrily, "You are gentle to the point of weakness. Why don't you do something to him?" He just smiled gently. A person is suffering and get angry. Should we suffer along with them? If we get angry back, what difference is it from adding fire to a burning house? The villagers heard this and were amazed, and from then on told each other, "Compassion is strength, not weakness. Only those who are truly steady are not led away by resentment." A few days later, that Brahmin came to the vihara, prostrated, and apologized to Sariputra. He said, "I have never seen anyone with a mind as calm as water. I have understood that the one who does not get angry is the one most worthy of respect." From then on, he became a lay disciple, practicing diligently, and that story was passed down forever in the Sangha as proof that patience is not humiliation. Patience is compassion blooming in the heart of the wise. From the story of Sariputra, we see that resentment does not make others admire us, but it is calmness and tolerance that move people's hearts. A person who knows how to keep their mind peaceful when insulted is living the Dharma. A person who can love the one who insults them is walking on the path of enlightenment. Therefore, from resentment to compassion is not a long road, but a determination to turn back in the very moment anger arises. See it, understand it, and do not let it lead. Then compassion is no longer an idea, but a vitality, a light in the midst of darkness. That day was the death anniversary of the only son. The house on the outskirts of the city still smelled of incense smoke. The mother sat huddled by the altar, her eyes sunken from lack of sleep. The father had been up since dawn, cooking a pot among bean sweet soup, as it was the dish's sunlight, tidying up the offering tray, and then quietly sitting out on the porch. The previous year, on this exact day, the 17-year-old son had died after being stabbed in a scuffle. It wasn't that he went looking for trouble. Friends just called him out for a drink. And one guy at the table bumped into someone. A fight broke out. No one expected that just one stab would end a human life. The other family was poor, living in a slum. The parents of the perpetrator were also manual laborers, struggling and uneducated. They had sought them out to ask for forgiveness amidst the cries of a mother who had also lost her child in a different way. The perpetrator's child was sentenced to 20 years in prison. For a whole year after her son's death, the mother almost collapsed. She was often irritable, smashing things, blaming society, blaming bad friends, blaming her husband for not managing the child, and then blaming herself. But no matter how angry, no matter how much it hurt, the child would not return. The father was different. He still went to work regularly, kept the house in order, but deep inside, he quietly learned how to endure and bear it. It wasn't that he wasn't angry, but he decided not to let anger destroy the remaining family. On the death anniversary, they didn't invite many people, just a few relatives and neighbors. Everyone thought the family would be miserable and reproachful, but no. That day the father offered incense and read the Fearlessness Sutra. He learned it himself, copied it by hand because he heard Buddha taught that the deceased need peace. If the living keep revolting inside, how can the deceased transcend? He quietly recited a passage. If a person does evil to us, look at that person like a child playing with a knife, not understanding the consequences. If we get angry, it is just two children fighting. No one is mature. After the anniversary ceremony, he asked his wife to go with him to the prison where the 18-year-old boy who killed their son was held. The mother didn't want to. She cried, but then she went. Not because she wanted to forgive, but just because she wanted to know what the person who killed her son looked like. The boy who committed the crime that year, when meeting them, only knew how to bow his head and cry. His hair was shaved, his skin pale, thin, his eyes holding no life. The father stood looking without saying anything for a few minutes. Then he stepped forward, put his hand on the boy's shoulder, and said quietly, "Live decently, repent deeply, and when you get out, don't make anyone else suffer, just that." And then he turned away, not a word of admonishment, not a sentence of resentment. The boy's mother collapsed crying, his wife also cried, but he stood straight like the last pillar not breaking in a storm. A few months later, someone came to ask him, "How could you forgive? Why didn't you get angry?" He just breathed lightly, "I don't forgive because he deserves it. I forgive because I don't want my son on the other side to still have to carry his parents' resentment. The dead need peace. The living must know how to keep calm. If I get angry, this house will have no one left standing." No one knew. For the past year, every day he chanted sutras in the morning, not because he believed in deities, but to keep his mind from rebelling, so that every verse would untie each knot of anger, of pain, of resentment. Every word, every breath was like filtering the anger out of his blood, from resentment to compassion, from anger to forgiveness. That is not weakness, but the journey of a father knowing how to preserve both ends of life and loss. The story of the father losing his child, but keeping his mind free of anger is not just a lesson about forgiveness. It is living proof of the Buddha's teaching. Anger does not help the deceased transcend. Anger only makes the living suffer more. From anger to love is an arduous journey, but precisely thanks to not following the usual reaction, that Father transformed pain into compassion, not letting it turn into hatred. Anger, if kept, will become karma, but if looked at, deeply embraced, and transformed, it will become the energy of understanding and compassion. While others might blame him for being weak, in reality, he was stronger than everyone, because only someone strong enough inside dares to choose forgiveness. Only someone with inner spiritual strength, with a wish to love beyond the limits of the ego, can put aside the natural reaction of resentment, but choose a harder but more saving path. That story is a reminder that compassion is not a lofty, distant ideal. It begins in the very ordinary moments, where people have enough reason to be angry, but choose not to be. And precisely in those moments, the Dharma exists. Part 2. It is not the person causing hurt that makes us suffer, but how we keep it in the mind. There is a profound paradox that few realize. The person hurts us only once, but we remember it, hurt again, and resent it 100 times. Anger, if not understood, will become a toxic memory stored in the mind. We often think, that person hurt me, I am right to be angry, but actually we do not suffer because of what that person did, but because we cannot let go of what that person did. There are things that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even the other person no longer remembers, is no longer around, but every time we remember, we still hurt, still get angry, still feel injured again. That is because our mind stores resentment like a treasure, or thinking it is storing justice. A mind holding a grudge is like carrying a handful of rocks in the heart. Every time someone unintentionally touches it, the anger rushes up. Only when we put it down do we see how heavy we have been because of it for so long. When understanding the Buddha's teachings deeper, we see that no one can make us suffer, for our mind does not give rise to anger. Others may speak harshly, insult, but if we do not accept that sentence, do not give the right to hurt, then it cannot stay. Like a letter sent to the wrong address, if we do not open it, then whatever is in the letter does not affect us. The reason others' words make us suffer is because we accepted, believed, and reacted. But if alert enough, compassionate enough, we will understand that the person speaking evil words is a person who is suffering. A person hurting others is an unhappy person. Therefore, a student of Buddha does not avoid insults, does not suppress anger, but looks straight at it, asking their own mind, why do I suffer when hearing that? Why does that word affect me? And we will see the root is the mind of attachment to self, the ego wanting to be loved, wanting to be recognized, wanting to be respected. When that ego is hurt, anger will arise. But if one knows how to contemplate Nonself, seeing that there is no fixed I being insulted, then anger will have no place to cling. Like someone shooting an arrow into the air, the arrow will fall to the ground, hitting no one. In the Dhammapada, the mind section, Buddha taught the mind is wavering, easy to fluctuate, hard to guard, hard to hold back. The wise man straightens his mind as a fletcher straightens an arrow. Dhammapada, verse 33. And in the Anguttara Nikaya he said, suppose there is a person who insults, scolds, slanders. If our mind does not give rise to anger, does not harbor resentment, does not think of revenge, then that is a person who knows how to keep the precepts, knows how to protect the mind. Furthermore, the Buddha taught, suppose someone hits a person with a stick. That stick hurts, but if the person being hit keeps holding on to resentment, then that person is injured twice, once from the stick, once from themselves. Those teachings show that anger is not the consequence of external actions, but an internal reaction. If our inner mind has compassion, has mindfulness, then resentment has no chance to arise. The story of the woman betrayed, and the lesson of the letter with no recipient. She was a simple woman living in a small town with a warm family. Her husband was a teacher, gentle, reputable in the region. Everyone thought they were the ideal couple until the day she discovered he had someone else. Anger exploded like lightning in a clear blue sky, but it wasn't anger because of being deceived, but anger because all the years of sacrifice and trust had collapsed. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just fell silent, but that silence was a grave for her own mind. Many months later, she became ill. Not a physical illness, but a sickness of the mind. She often had insomnia, was irritable, often suspicious, so everyone is fake, so life is unfair. A friend took her to meet an old master living in seclusion. Hearing the story, the master asked just one question. How long have you been angry with him? 2 years now, master. Every time I remember, I get angry just like when I first found out. Yes, still just as angry. So you have let an insulting letter be open, reading it over and over again every day for 2 years. Yet you think you are not trapped by the letter. She was stunned. The master continued. Being angry is when you keep reading the words others said in the past. Compassion is when you know that letter was sent to the wrong person. No one forces you to read it. From that day, she began to practice meditation. Every time anger rose, she just sat quietly, breathed, and told herself, do not open the letter anymore. Gradually, the anger subsided. She no longer held a grudge, no longer remembered every word and action. She did not forget the old story, but she no longer let the old story bind her. The story of the woman betrayed, that choosing to let go instead of holding a grudge is a profound illustration of the Buddha's teaching. No one makes us suffer if we do not allow it. Anger only exists when we keep bringing up the injury. But if we know not to open the letter, not to mention it, not to touch it, the wound will heal. Forgiveness does not mean agreeing, but means not allowing the past to control the present. Not keeping resentment in the heart is opening the door for one's own mind to heal. Part 3. Anger is fire, compassion is water. Choose one, and the mind will become that. Of all mental formations, anger is the thing that burns the fastest. When anger arises, the body heats up, the heart beats fast, eyes stare, breath is harsh. In that moment, body, speech, and mind are simultaneously dominated by the fire of anger. A normal person can turn into a savage, a gentle person can become a brute. How many mistakes in life start from one loss of composure? Therefore, the Buddha compared anger to fire, not only burning the human mind, but also burning out the blessings already sown. A moment of anger can destroy accumulated merit. One word of angry delusion can cut off good karma cultivated for many years. Conversely, compassion is cool water extinguishing that fire. When compassion arises, we do not speak to satisfy our mouth, do not retaliate to satisfy our heart. Do not react because of being hurt, but behave with wisdom and heart. Compassion is not only loving others, but also understanding one's own suffering when anger arises. Compassion is not always being soft and yielding, but is not letting others harm oneself, but also not causing harm back. Compassion is the inner strength that knows how to preserve, knows how to respond with clarity. That is the behavior of a person whose inner mind has ripened. Therefore, when anger rises, the important thing is not to suppress it, but to transform it. Like fire, if used correctly, it will light up. If left loose, it will burn down. The angry mind is the same. If recognized in time, knowing to return to the breath, knowing to stop, then right there compassion can manifest. The problem is not how many times one gets angry, but after each time getting angry, does one know to turn back to learn or let one's mind drift with the habit? A person with mindfulness sees clearly, even when angry, that this is anger arising, while a person who does not practice lets go of the steering wheel when anger comes. The Buddha taught that whoever knows how to use compassion to counteract resentment is building the path to liberation. Compassion does not come from others, but comes from the training of the inner mind every day. In Dhammapada verse 123, Buddha taught, conquer anger by love, conquer evil by good, conquer stinginess by giving, conquer lies by truth. Dhammapada 123. This is the method of counteracting the inner mind, not opposing directly, but transforming with opposite qualities. When anger arises, do not confront, but water the mind of kindness. Like fire needs water, anger needs understanding. Furthermore, in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught, a mind with anger is a mind not at peace. A person with anger is a person who does not see clearly. A practitioner should not let the mind fall into the fire of anger, because that is the place where suffering is born. And in the Metta Sutta discourse on loving kindness, the Buddha advised, let one cultivate a boundless heart towards all beings, just as a mother protects her child, her only child, with her life, even if the other person is not lovely, not worthy. That is the way to practice compassion, so that our mind can dissolve the anger before it burns big. The story of the young monk and the bowl of hot water. In a small temple in central Vietnam, there was a young monk named Tam Thuong, ordinary mind. His name was Thuong, but his mind was Thi, right, wrong, competitive, often getting angry whenever someone went against his will. The monk's face would turn red, eyes blazing, then he would quietly walk away, not shouting, but inside burning like fire. One day, the abbot called the monk over and said, scoop a bowl of hot water and wait for it to cool. The monk followed instructions. The water bowl was steaming. He waited half an hour. The water started to get lukewarm. The teacher asked, can you drink it now? Yes, I can. My anger is like boiling water. If I pour it out when it is hot, it will burn others, and I myself won't keep anything. But if I wait for the water to cool, I can drink, and others won't be harmed. Then the teacher said, cultivation is like that. It is knowing how to keep one's heart, like keeping a bowl of water. Don't pour when it's boiling. From then on, every time he got angry, the monk usually didn't react immediately. He stepped back, breath, practiced walking meditation, recited a verse. The anger didn't disappear immediately, but it no longer burned like before. Each time like that, the monk felt his mind become less hot, and his eyes looking at others also became gentler. After a few years, the monk changed his Dharma name from Tam Thuong, ordinary mind, to Tam, like quiet mind. People jokingly said the monk had drunk all the hot water. The story of the young monk and the bowl of hot water teaches us a simple but profound lesson. Anger needs time to cool down. The mind needs space to settle. If everyone knew not to pour when the water is still boiling, how many big problems would not have happened from a word spoken in anger, an action done in rage? Compassion does not come immediately, but every time we know how to stop is a time we cool it down. Every time we don't speak when angry is a time we preserve. Every time we look at someone causing difficulty without arising malice is a time compassion sprouts. Therefore, a practitioner does not need to never get angry, but knows how to recognize and not let anger take control. That is cultivation. That is compassion growing in the days that seem quiet. Part 4. To have compassion for others, one must know how to return to heal oneself. There is a very real thing in spiritual life that few speak out loud. Many people who have practiced for years, chanted many sutras, kept enough precepts, still get angry easily, not because they don't practice, but because they only practice on behavior without truly returning to heal their minds. Resentment arises not only because something is wrong, but often comes from untouched trauma, unspoken sadness, heart wounds no one has listened to. We are angry at others, but actually sometimes we are angry at ourselves because we sacrificed too much without acknowledgement, because we endured too long without anyone understanding. If the mind is still hurt, compassion cannot be born naturally. Compassion cannot grow in a land full of thorns of resentment. Therefore, to practice compassion correctly, one must start by caring for one's own mind. That is why Buddha taught, mind leads, mind creates, mind guides all dharmas. If a person is always stressed, sleep-deprived, carrying many grievances, one cannot expect them to be compassionate all the time. So cultivation is not suppressing oneself not to get angry, but looking deep to understand the root of the anger, to love oneself before loving others. Buddhist teachings do not encourage us to just be good people on the outside, but emphasize transformation from the inside. The purer the mind, the more natural the compassion. A person not yet healed will see everyone as blameworthy. A person already healed will see everyone as worthy of compassion. Therefore, to truly have compassion, do not rush to look outward. Return to sit with yourself, look deep into the smoldering feelings. It could be a childhood lacking love, wounds from word years ago, complexes, fear, unfulfilled expectations. If we don't embrace them with mindfulness, they will manifest in the form of resentment towards others. A practitioner is not someone who no longer suffers, but someone who knows how to care for suffering with understanding, knowing that when anger arises, not to suppress it, but to breathe in deeply, embrace that emotion, recognize it like a crying child, and only when that child is soothed can compassion manifest. In the Anguttara Nikaya, chapter of 5, the Buddha taught, O monks, there are 5 states that lead to self-love, helping the mind to be liberated. 1. One must have love for oneself. 2. Love for others. 3. Love for those neither close nor distant. 4. Love for those who have harmed oneself. 5. Love for all sentient beings. And in the Satipatthana Sutta, the discourse on the establishing of mindfulness, He taught to contemplate the mind in the mind, to see that an angry mind is an angry mind. A loving mind is a loving mind. Knowing this creates no identification, not being swept away. Especially in the Metta-sutta discourse on loving kindness, the Buddha taught the way to practice compassion. Arise unconditional love for oneself, then spread it gradually to loved ones, strangers, enemies, and finally to all sentient beings everywhere. From that, it is clear that loving kindness cannot exist if one does not know how to love oneself correctly. The story of the mother learning to let go to love her child again. She was a single mother raising two children in poverty. The older one studied well. The younger one was mischievous. Every day she worried about work, came home to cook, and then scolded. She loved her children, but inside her was a simmering anger. Angry at why her life was miserable. Angry that her husband left. Angry that her child was not as well behaved as expected. And the angrier she was, the more irritable and reproachful she became. Gradually, the two children drifted away from her, speaking less, staying away. One day, the younger son ran away from home for a few days. When he returned, he gave his mother a letter. "Mom, I know you love me, but you always scold. I'm afraid to come home because I see your anger, not your love." She was stunned that night. For the first time, she sat still, not crying, not blaming, just looking at herself. She realized that for all those years she carried the anger of her life and poured it onto the people she loved most. She never truly sat with her own suffering, never embraced her heart crushed by trauma, never forgave herself for not being as adequate as expected. From that day on, she learned meditation. Every early morning she sat still, breathed, and told herself, "My child, I am learning to love again from the beginning." Then she changed the way she spoke, not scolding when the child made a mistake, but asking, "Are you sad about something today?" Not blaming when grades were low, but asking if there was anything worrying him. Gradually, the two children returned. The younger one hugged his mother to sleep. The older one confided in her. She was no longer the mother who often scolded, but the mother who knew how to love her children with a healed heart. The story of the mother learning to let go of anger to love her child again is not just a story of one person. It is the journey of all of us, those carrying unhealed wounds. When the mind is not cared for, even if we want to love someone, we will unintentionally hurt them. Therefore, to be compassionate, first, we must return to look at ourselves, stay with unsoothed emotions, care for unspoken suffering. Only then will we not react with anger. Only then are we soft enough to understand, bright enough to let go, and loving enough to live. Compassion is not a distant, sacred state, but the result of a mind that has understood itself deeply enough, embraced itself long enough to be able to open its heart to others unconditionally. Part 5. A person who knows how to practice is not someone who doesn't get angry, but knows how to transform anger into compassion. In spiritual life, there is a very common misunderstanding. A practitioner must always be gentle, must not get angry, must not be sad. But in reality, a person who knows how to practice is not someone who never gets angry, but someone who knows how to recognize when anger arises, knows not to act on it, knows how to stop, breathe, and transform. Anger is a mental formation present in all sentient beings. As long as one is alive, there are conditions for anger to arise, but a practitioner does not let that anger flow freely. but knows how to stand at the boundary of reaction, knows how to return, knows how to embrace that emotion with mindfulness and compassion, just like in a garden. If we don't take care of it, weeds will grow, but an experienced gardener, instead of pulling hastily, will wait for the soil to be moist, the roots soft, then gently pull them out. Our mind is the same. No need to eliminate anger by force, but by understanding and mindfulness at the right time. When anger arises, a practitioner does not suppress, does not repress, nor indulge, but returns to the breath, returns to inner silence, looks deep into the root. The root of anger is usually an unmet expectation, a betrayed trust, a feeling of being insulted. If we see those things clearly, anger no longer has power. From there, a practitioner does not follow quick reactions, but knows how to transform them into compassionate responses. Like instead of reacting with a harsh word, we choose silence and mindfulness. Instead of eyes blazing with anger, we choose a quiet look, seeing clearly at the other person suffering. That look is practice. No need to be good at doctrine to practice. Just recognizing anger once in a day and not acting on it is a big step on the path of awakening. Therefore, a practitioner does not need to act gentle, but needs to practice truly. True practice is daring to see anger in oneself, daring to admit sometimes we also resent, also want revenge, but then not doing it, sitting down, taking a deep breath, smiling, and saying to oneself, "Anger, I know you, but I don't need you to live." In Dharma verses 219 and 220, the Buddha taught, though a person recites many scriptures, but does not practice, does not cultivate, there is no benefit. Though a person recites little, but practices, lives according to the Dharma, that person truly shares in the holy life. From that, it shows that cultivation lies not in recitation, but in the transformation of the mind. One may not chant 1,000 verses, but just one breath of mindfulness when angry is practicing deeply. And in the Samyutta Nikaya chapter on mind, the Buddha said, "He who can control a rising anger, even for a moment, is better than one who conquers 1,000 armies." This is a profoundly encouraging teaching. External victory is only temporary, but conquering oneself is the most lasting victory. The story of the young nun learning to keep silent when her heart wanted to scream. In the assembly of nuns in a small vihara in the highlands, there was a young nun, Dharma named Yam. She was newly ordained, her mind still young and impulsive. Once, making a mistake in the kitchen, she was scolded severely by the head nun in front of everyone. Anger rose in her mind like a wave. Yam felt her face turn red. Tears wanted to flow. Part of her wanted to leave. Part wanted to argue back. Part wanted to scream. I also have feelings, but fortunately, at that exact moment, a sentence learned before echoed in her mind. When angry, keep silent like the earth. Earth does not deny, nor react. Earth only embraces and neutralizes. She returned to the meditation hall, sat still breathing as her teacher had taught, eyes closed, hands on her abdomen, feeling each breath. In the 10th breath, she burst into tears, but not because of anger, but because she saw the child within herself, always wanting to be recognized, wanting to be loved. She sat with it, hugged that child, then wrote a line in her diary. "I am learning silence when my heart wants to scream because I understand. Screaming doesn't make others understand better. only makes me further from Buddha. From that day on, whenever misunderstood or criticized, she no longer reacted, not because she wasn't sad, but because she knew how to return. She understood that the person scolding her was also suffering. If she got angry, it would just be one more suffering person. If she kept peace, it would neutralize for both. From the story of the young nun learning to keep her mind when being scolded, we see that a practitioner is not someone who faces no problems, but someone who knows what to do with what happens. In ordinary life, everyone has times of being misunderstood, wrongly blamed, harshly scolded, but a practitioner chooses not to react, but to return to the heart. That is true strength, the strength of an inner mind that has begun to transform. No need to fight life, no need to act strong, just need to know how to be silent at the right time and open the heart in the right place. When we can keep a calm mind before an insult, keep steady breath in a fit of anger, then compassion is growing in us like a sprout rising amidst the wind. Part 6. When anger arises, we often say, "I am angry." But have you ever stopped to ask, who is the person being angry? Is there truly an unchanging I holding the anger, or is it just a mental wave arising, then dissolving, then arising again, like waves on the surface of the sea? In the teaching of emptiness, sunyata, the Buddha taught that there is no true self, only dharmas arising due to conditions. Anger is the same. It does not come from me, but comes from contact conditions, habit conditions, old trauma conditions, and especially from ignorance, not seeing the true nature of things. Just like a cloud arising in the sky, no one says the sky is angry, only that clouds are coming. So why, when a mind of anger arises, do we identify and accept that I am the angry person? The reason we suffer because of anger is that we attach to the self that was insulted, the self that needs to be defended, the self that expects to be right. But when contemplating deeply to see that there is no real self being hurt, then that anger also has no ground to stand on. A practitioner of emptiness, when anger arises, does not say I am angry, but only note anger is arising. That is a state of mind coming and going. If we don't feed it with thoughts, don't grasp it, don't identify with it, it dissolves like smoke. At that time, the mind remains cool. Compassion remains intact, just like someone standing on the riverbank seeing a branch drift by. That person doesn't jump in, doesn't try to hold it, just sees it come and go. Mental formations are the same, just a flow. If we do not accept it as I, then there is no angry person, no insulted person, only a phenomenon operating according to conditions. This is the ultimate truth that the Buddha realized under the Bodhi tree. All dharmas are Nonself, having no fixed nature. Anger does not self-arise, does not self-exist, does not self-disappear, but has dependently arisen. If one sees this clearly, then compassion does not need much practice to naturally appear, because there is no one left to be angry at, no one left to hate, no one left to take revenge on. Only sentient beings drifting in delusion, and one person awake amidst the crowd. In the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha taught, develop a mind that abides nowhere, meaning do not cling to anything. Then the mind of compassion arises, and in the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness are also like that, meaning all phenomena, including emotions like anger, are also empty, having no true nature. Again in the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter on mind, the mind is ownerless. It comes and goes like the wind. One who sees this will no longer cling. No longer clinging means no longer suffering. These teachings are not just to learn to chant, but to directly realize in oneself. Every time an affliction arises, the story of the practitioner sitting still amidst scolding. Long ago in southern India, there was an ascetic named Padya living in a thatch hut in the forest. He was a practitioner of emptiness, usually not speaking to anyone, just quietly meditating, holding his bowl for alms every morning. One day, passing through a small village for alms, a drunkard saw him and rushed out shouting insults. "Fake monk, you go begging but think you are a saint." Padya said nothing. His face did not change color. He just clasped his hands and walked on. The other man got angrier, ran after him, threw dirt, kicked over the bowl, but Padya just bent down to pick up the bowl, not saying a single word. The drunkard saw this, choked with rage, and left. A few days later, the man sobered up, felt remorse, and came to apologize. He asked, "Why didn't you get angry at me?" Padya replied, "I saw a drunkenness manifesting through a body. If I also got angry, what difference is it from a second drunk person? Your angry mind is a phenomenon, while my mind is the sky. When the clouds pass, the sky is still clear." The other man prostrated and from then on became a practitioner of the four foundations of mindfulness, practicing Nonself. The story of the ascetic sitting still amidst curses, not a story about passive endurance, but a mirror of someone who has seen the non-self nature of mental formations. When no longer identifying with the self that is angry, we will no longer suffer because of anger. When there is no one left to resent, nothing left to hold on to, only pure awareness, then compassion will naturally be born like light spreading where there is no darkness. From resentment to compassion, if following the path of non-self, non-abiding, then every anger is a lesson. Every insult is an opportunity to wake up, and the person who knows how to transform them is the person walking gradually towards ultimate freedom. Mr. Sao was a gardener in the suburbs for nearly 40 years. He lived among fruits and wind, gentle, socializing little, only accustomed to pruning, watering, weeding, tending rice. But the neighbor next door, a middle-aged man, was very quarrelsome. Sometimes he said Mr. Sao made trash fly over, sometimes accused his tree of blocking the sun. Sometimes in the middle of a summer noon, Mr. Sao just splashed water on the yard, and the person on the other side shouted over just because of a splashing sound. At first, Mr. Sao was very angry. Every time he was insulted unreasonably, he was resentful all day. One day, anger made his hand cut a rose bush that was budding by mistake. Then he realized the person angry was not the other guy, but himself. One afternoon, while weeding the onion bed, he looked at the weeds growing wild and asked himself, "Do weeds intend to grow? Does the soul intend for them to grow? Whatever grows, grows. If I know, I pull it. If not, I let it spread." Suddenly he understood something. The angry mind is also like weeds. It grows not because we want it to, but because it has enough conditions. But if we know to recognize and care for the land of our mind, weeds will not proliferate. From that day on, he practiced observing his mind every time he was scolded, not reacting, just inhaling deep and exhaling. When he saw the scolding words fly over like wind, he didn't let them touch his face. Not that he endured, but he didn't see anyone being scolded, only sound, only wind, then dissolving. Every afternoon when the sun set, Mr. Sa sat watching flowers bloom. The neighbors still occasionally scolded from afar, but he no longer suffered. His mind was like a bed of soil that was soft, cleared of weeds, leaving only flowers and fruits. No one knew that Gardner had gone through the journey of a practitioner, without the form of a monk, without Dharma robes, but he transformed his mind by contemplation, by Nonself, by not identifying with the anger, and so he became a person who healed himself with the scolding of others. The story of the gardeners silent amidst curses is proof that liberation is not in a distant place, but right where the mind knows not to grasp. The weeds of anger, if not pulled, will spread, but if one only worries about pulling without seeing the root, then enduring one will lead to suffering 10. Mr. Sao did not suppress himself not to get angry. He saw the nature of anger. There is no owner, no angry person, no insulted person, only sound arising and ceasing. Anger is just a stream of energy, a habit, a delusion passing by if not grasped. That very seeing is wisdom, and from that wisdom, compassion is born like flowers blooming on land with no wild grass. Therefore, from this small story, we learn a big thing. Cultivation is not a matter in the temple, but practicing where we are tested the most. Not shaving the head makes one a monk, but shaving clean the misconceptions about self, about others, about who makes us angry. Then compassion does not need training, but is the natural result of a mind with no one left to blame. And when living like that, you will see that amidst the noise of life, the heart is still like a garden cleared of weeds, only flowers blooming. Part 7. The angry person is the suffering person. The one who knows how to love is the awakened one. Among all those who cause us suffering, there is a profound truth that few look through. They themselves, those who are often resentful, are the ones suffering the most. No one who gets angry frequently has a happy inner life. No one who is aggressive has a peaceful heart. The Buddha once taught that when a person speaks evil words, that person drinks poison themselves, hoping the other person dies. Resentment not only breaks relationships, but also destroys health, charisma, character, and the karma of that very person. An angry person ultimately is not an evil person, but a person who does not yet have the ability to understand and love themselves. Because they don't know how to care for the wound, they react with rage. Because they don't know how to express needs, they scream. Because they don't know the way out, they seek to control others with resentment. If we see that, we will no longer want to retaliate against those who are often angry, but only feel pity. Not pity because we are superior, but because we see clearly that person is being tortured by the angry mind every day. A person who knows how to practice, someone who doesn't stop at reaction. When insulted, that person doesn't ask, why did they say that? But asks, what are they suffering from that they have to say that? When blamed, that person doesn't ask, why are they unfair? But asks, what is their heart lacking that they have to do that to me? That seeing is true compassion, not loving because that person is lovable, but seeing clearly the nature of suffering hidden deep in every expression of resentment. When looking at life with this vision, we don't need to force ourselves to forgive. Forgiveness will come naturally like flowers blooming when there is enough sun. because forgiveness is not a gift we grant to others, but a door opening for ourselves to be lighter. In Dhammapada verse 125, the Buddha taught, "Whoever offends a harmless person, a pure and innocent person, the evil falls back on that fool, like fine dust thrown against the wind," meaning if a gentle person does not react, the one insulting them is no different from hurting themselves. Again, in the Majjhima Nikaya, the simile of the saw, the Buddha taught, even if others use bitter words, beat, or harm, if you give rise to a mind of resentment, then you are no different from those who have not practiced. Arise a mind of compassion for them, like a mother loving her only child in the desert. That is not advice to be weak, but a guide for an awakened inner mind, seeing clearly that the person causing hurt is also a victim of their own suffering. They have not yet understood the story of the man who was often angry and the girl who knew how to be silent. In a small neighborhood, there was a man named famous for being hot-tempered. Neighbors all avoided him. His wife had moved back to the countryside. His eldest son was also away from home, leaving only him and his small daughter, Len, an 8th grader. Mr. Hung got angry very easily. Just a power outage, a traffic jam, someone speaking loudly, and he would get irritable. But specifically with his daughter, he didn't hit her, only shouted, but shouted very loudly, very fiercely. At those times, Len usually didn't reply, just stayed silent. Many times relatives said, "You must answer so your father gets less angry." She just shook her head and smiled slightly. Once, Mr. Hung was so angry he threw a bowl of rice. Len still sat picking up every grain of rice fallen on the table, not crying, not speaking, just quietly cleaning. That night, Mr. Hung tossed and turned. The next morning, he saw a piece of paper on his daughter's desk. "I know you are angry not because of me, but because you are lonely. I don't want to talk back because I am afraid you will suffer more. So I choose silence to keep my heart at peace, and so you can be at peace for a moment." Reading this, Mr. Hung burst into tears. He didn't know that for all those years, he was the one living in a cage of fire. Fire he lit himself. From that day on, he practiced sitting still every morning, looking at the tree in the front yard, remembering his daughter's face when she was silent. Then he practiced breathing, practiced speaking softer, practiced apologizing. It wasn't easy, but his heart softened for the first time, and he understood that an angry person is a person wishing to be loved. And a quiet person is not necessarily a weak person, but sometimes is a person who has seen clearly the nature of suffering and does not want to multiply it. The story of the girl and the hot-tempered father is a silent but profound lesson. Angry people are usually not blameworthy, but worthy of compassion, because behind the shouting is the fear of abandonment. Behind the irritability is a heart dry from lack of understanding. A practitioner does not extinguish fire with fire, does not confront with arguments, but chooses to keep peace and compassion so the other person has a chance to return to forgiveness, not to make the other person light, but so our heart is at peace first. And when the heart is at peace, we see clearly the person making us angry is also hoping for a day when someone is gentle enough for them to understand themselves. Part 8. When we no longer need love, we will know how to love everyone. Amidst a life full of trauma and expectations, we grow up not only with dreams, but also with cracks. Those cracks can come from a scolding in the past, indifference from a loved one, a betrayal, a time not being listened to. All those things, though small, have carved into unfulfilled needs in the mind, and from there we wish to be loved, wish to be recognized, wish someone to understand the feelings we cannot speak. But the paradox is that the more one wishes to be loved, the easier it is to be hurt. The more one wishes to be understood, the easier it is to get angry when no one understands correctly. Anger, if looked at deeply, is not strength but a signal of an unhealed mind. A mind that still needs to be loved is very fragile. A mind still dependent on how others see it is very easily broken. So the deepest transformation step is not just not getting angry anymore, but no longer needing anyone to love us anymore. Not because we become dry and callous, but because the mind is full. At that time, compassion is no longer a task to do, but something naturally flowing from healed inner strength. When no longer needing love, we begin to see the suffering of others clearer than our own. When no longer resentful, we begin to know how to sympathize even with those who once hurt us. And that is the path of someone who has stepped from anger to love, from resentment to understanding, from victim to practitioner. In Dhammapada verses 62 and 63, the Buddha taught, "The fool thinks he is wise, the wise man sees his own faults. The fool, out of ignorance, harms himself and others." And in the Sutra of 42 chapters, a person who knows self-love is a person who no longer needs love because that person is enough. A person who is enough loves anyone without demanding return. And in the Anguttara Nikaya, he taught, "True compassion is compassion that does not choose, does not come from a need for response, but from a mind shining unconditionally." Those teachings are not for saints, but for all of us, those who are learning to live with a heart that is defenseless, but expectant of nothing. The story of the Zen master and the torn shirt. In a high mountain region, there was an old Zen master wearing a patched and torn shirt, living in a small hut. Students from far and near respected him, but the master did not care for fame. Whoever came, he welcomed with a smile. Whoever left, he saw off with silence. One day, a guest from afar came and wondered, "Master, you live in a small hut, torn shirt, eat meagerly. Are you not sad?" The Zen master smiled gently and did not answer, just pointed at the shirt. "This shirt is torn, but it does not need to be healed, mended, because I do not need it to be whole. This mind was once torn by life, but now no longer expects anyone to patch it. When no longer needing to be loved, we truly know how to love others." That night the guest lay sleeping in the hut and tears fell, not because of the torn shirt, but because understanding that the person in most pain is not the one rejected, but the person who keeps living in the expectation being accepted. From that day on, that person returned home no longer angry his wife, no longer angry his children, no longer resentful of life, because in one night with the Zen master, they understood happiness does not come from being loved, but from a mind that knows how to love without needing anything. The story of the Zen master and the torn shirt is like a reminder of the depth of the healing journey. When no longer needing anyone to fill the void, our heart has room to contain the whole world. True compassion does not come from lack, but come from an inner mind seeing clearly the nature of impermanence and Nonself. At that time, anger has no reason to exist, and love has no limit. Practice is not so someone loves us more, but so we stop wishing to be loved, so that we ourselves can become an endless source of love. She was a woman over 40 who once had a family, a small house, and 2 children. But then after a painful divorce, she took her 2 children back to the countryside, living in a small rented room near the market. The new life was cramped, lacking, and heavy with sighs. Every evening, after cleaning up the vegetable stall at the market, she went home to cook for her children. The meal was simple: some boiled vegetables, a bit of dried fish, but she always arranged it neatly and made the 2 children clasp their hands before eating, not for ritual, but because she wanted them to know that even being poor, one can live beautifully. Someone loved her, wanted to marry her, but she refused, not out of pride, but because her heart was not yet healed. Every night when the children slept, she sat sewing each thread of a torn pillow. That pillow was from the old house where she was once happy and then left in pain. At first, she kept it as a souvenir, but the more she looked, the more it stirred up the past. There were nights she cried not because of missing, but because some part of her heart still wished to return, still wished to be loved. One day she sat, still looking at the frayed pillow, thinking the pillow would no longer be hugged. Yet I still keep it because I am afraid of having nothing left to hold. That sentence opened something deep inside. She suddenly realized the pain did not lie in being abandoned, but lay in not being able to let go of the desire to return. And when she accepted that no one needed to love her anymore, it was also the moment she felt a very wide, very cool space in her heart. From then on, she took that pillow away, not burning it, not throwing it, but sun-drying it, folding it, wrapping it carefully, and putting it in a closed cabinet, no longer keeping it in sight, no longer stirring up memories, but also not resentful. Just knowing enough to close a door, she started learning meditation from a friend. Every morning before going to the market, she sat still for 5 minutes, asking for nothing, praying for nothing, just breathing and being silent. Whenever the children argued, she didn't scold, but sat down to tell an old story. Whenever customers were difficult, she didn't get angry, but just smiled, not because she had become a Buddha, but because the mind no longer wished to be loved. So it was no longer easily hurt. A vegetable seller amidst a noisy market, but living like a quiet stream. That was not because her life was less miserable, but because her heart stopped demanding life to love her, and from then on, she herself became someone who knew how to love others, deadly, demand-free, unconditionally. The story of the woman and the torn pillow is the truest image of a silent but profound healing journey. There is no blood flowing, no tears falling, but only times of silence asking oneself if one is still waiting for someone to love. Transformation begins when we dare to look back at seemingly small things. An old pillow, an old wound, a memory not let go, and then from the palm of the hand, sowing a tear, a heart knowing how to stitch itself has begun to revive, not waiting for anyone to love, not needing anyone to return fairness, just needing to see clearly the nature of desire and put it down. Then the heart is instantly light. When the heart is light, we begin to have empty space to love others in a clear way, not demanding, not straining. And at that time, compassion is not something to learn, but a natural result of a person who has stopped being angry, stopped blaming, stopped waiting to be loved. Therefore, the person who knows how to love deepest is not the person who's never suffered, but the person who's gone through suffering, gone through anger, and no longer expects anyone to fill them. That mind is truly the healing mind. If in the story of the woman and the torn pillow you see a part of your heart that once wished to be love and then learned to let go, if in this Dharma talk there is any moment that makes you stop waiting for life to be fair and start wanting to love life with a fuller heart, if in every breath of listening you feel your heart soften like someone just stitched up a crack left for a long time, then please consider that a gentle touch of good affinity, inviting you to sow a little more light for the good Dharma to spread far. Please subscribe to the channel Tankang Audio. Share this Dharma talk as a message to someone who is learning to let go of anger, learning to love again without resentment, and if possible, please leave a comment. Namo Adida Fat Namo Amitabha Buddha is a piece of good fragrance sent into the space where someone is listening quietly with a mind not yet healed, because who knows, from a light click, a wish for peace might open a small door in the heart of someone who truly needs it. May everyone passing by this Dharma talk know how to return to love themselves and then love others unconditionally. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Part 9. No one brings us peace except a mind that knows to stop at the right time. Humans suffer mostly not because of lack of money, lack of loved ones, or lack of kind words, but because of lacking a mind that knows how to stop. Stop to look back, stop to see, stop to not continue pouring oil onto the fire already burning. Stop so that from there one can begin to love. Someone asked how to no longer get angry. I reply, no need to stop getting angry, just need to know to stop every time anger arises, because actually anger is a natural reaction. But the suffering is because of not knowing how to stop, letting it become action, become words, become consequences. A person who knows how to stop is not someone gentle to the point of never being hurt, but someone who sees clearly the danger threshold and returns at the right time. Like a person walking in the forest, seeing a deep abyss ahead will stop their steps. The human mind is the same. When seeing oneself about to say words that hurt others, if knowing to stop, breathe deep, look into the anger rising, then a breakdown to say, stopping is the first step of wisdom. Stopping is an act of compassion for oneself. Stopping is the way we protect long-term happiness from temporary reactions. In the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha taught right effort, not effort to be good, to be better, to eliminate afflictions in a forced way, but effort in returning and stopping and not doing things that make the mind regret. When stopping, we can breathe. When breathing, we can see. When seeing, we can understand. And when understanding, we no longer need to be angry. From there, the mind returns to stability, not because life is easy, but because we know how to choose the right place to place the mind. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught self-conquest is the supreme victory, and in Dhammapada verse 161, he who is not angry amidst the angry, living pure amidst the impure, unpolluted amidst the polluted, that person is a sage amidst the world. Also, in the Majjhima Nikaya, the Satipatthana Sutta, he taught contemplating feeling and feelings. When a painful feeling arises, know this is a painful feeling, knowing thus the mind does not cling. That is, when anger arises, just seeing clearly this is anger, then we are no longer the anger, because anger is not the problem. Not seeing anger is the root of suffering. The story of the old monk and the Ngong bell. In a small temple in the middle of a village, there was an old monk named Tin Men. Every morning, he rang the bell on time. That bell sound resonated throughout the region, light but deep, like calling people's souls to wake up after a long night. One day, a villager lost a buffalo and suspected someone in the temple was involved. He got angry, ran into the temple yard, and shouted loudly. Everyone in the temple was surprised and stirred. Some intended to explain, some intended to argue, but Master Tin Men just remained silent, didn't speak, didn't argue, didn't step out, just sat still, eyes looking down, hands clasped gently. The other men shouted for a while. No one replied, suddenly got tired and left. The next morning, the bell rang again, but not on time as usual, but earlier by a moment. Someone asked, "Why did you ring the bell early?" The master just smiled. The bell doesn't need to be on time, just needs to be struck when the heart is calm. Yesterday, if I had replied, the bell inside me would have rung before my mouth. Fortunately, I hadn't rung it, so the bell sound this morning is still clear. From that day, the villagers called him the keeper of the Ngong bell, because he kept the bell in his heart, not letting it vibrate because of others. The story of the Ngong bell is a beautiful metaphor for a person who knows how to stop. Stopping not because of fear, stopping not because of losing, but stopping because seeing no need to continue sowing more no's into a world already too loud. An angry person will strike the bell hastily. A loving person will wait for the heart to settle before making a sound, and a practitioner who can keep the heart's bell from vibrating prematurely is someone walking close to liberation. Amidst a life of many voices, let's learn to keep the first no's inside us, because one sound kept back is an argument stopped, a relationship saved, a soul at peace. Compassion sometimes is just not ringing that bell anymore. No more words, no more resentment, just breathing and passing each other as lightly as wind. Part 10. When there is no one left to be angry at, the mind naturally becomes Buddha. When we say, "I am angry at that person," actually there are three illusions existing together. One is that there is a real I to be insulted. Two is that there is a real that person who intentionally hurt us. Three is that anger is right, is necessary, is real. But if sitting back in mindfulness, looking deep into these three layers, we will see I is just a collection of form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness arising and ceasing. That person is also just another stream of karma operating and suffering. Anger is also just a fleeting psychological phenomenon arising to attachment, to self. So angry at whom? Who's angry? Angry for what? If one sees this point, no high practice is needed, just right in that moment. We have left the path of samsara, stepping onto the path to liberation. No need to strain, no need to suppress, no need to force oneself to be gentle, just need to see clearly there is no one to be angry at. Because everything is just dharmas arising and ceasing. Mind arises, then settles. People come, then go. Words are spoken, then dissolve. Everything is like clouds rising, then dissolving into the void. Whose mind sees this, the heart no longer wants to argue right and wrong. No need for anyone to apologize. No expectation for anyone to change. No need to restore what was lost, just quietly stepping forward with the mind not creating waves because it has understood. No one can make us suffer if there is no self to be hurt. And when there is no longer that self, the mind is naturally at peace, naturally loving, naturally becomes Buddha. In Dhammapada verse 21, the Buddha taught, conquer hatred by love, conquer evil by virtue, conquer stinginess by giving, conquer lies by truth. And in the Diamond Sutra, all appearances are illusory. If one sees appearances as no appearances, one sees the Tathagata, that is, if seeing that all phenomena, including scolding words, angry faces, evil actions are just appearances, are dependently arisen, are not truly real, then we have seen the Tathagata in our own inner mind. And in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, the Buddha affirmed, a mind without anger is the pure land. Where there is no resentment is the Buddha realm manifesting right here, meaning amidst this life. If we can stop one fit of anger, right there Buddha's salvation is revealed. No need to wait until after death. No need for any distant realm. Just need the mind not to be angry. Then Buddha is present. The story of an old lady and the first rain of the season. The old lady lived alone in a small house by the edge of the forest, nearly 80 years old. No husband, no children. She used to have them, but times, incidents, and losses made her live alone for over 20 years now. Everyone in the villages above and below loved her, but there were also people who were once insolent, once borrowed money without paying, once wrongly accused her of things she didn't do. Once a mischievous child broke her flower bed. She saw it and just quietly picked up each branch. Saying nothing, someone asked, "Aren't you angry?" She just shook her head and replied gently, "Many years ago I was also angry, but then one day sitting listening to the first rain of the season, I saw clearly anger is just like rain. It's there, then it stops. Why keep something that naturally no one can keep for long?" From that day on, she often sat on the porch, watching the rain, watching leaves fall, watching birds land, then fly. Her eyes were no longer angry. Her heart no longer expected anyone to return a favor. A child who was once insolent grew up and returned to clasp hands and apologize. She just smiled. "I didn't keep anything. So what are you apologizing for?" And that child also burst into tears, understanding that there are people who don't need us to repay anything, but just need us to live more decently. The story of the grandmother and the first rain is the perfect image of a journey of deep letting go. No more resentment, no more anger, no more expecting anyone to fix what was wrong, only a heart light as rain, clear as a dewdrop, not clinging, not sticking, not entangled. Such a mind is a mind that no longer has a self to get angry. And when there is no one left to be angry at, the mind naturally becomes Buddha. No need to chant much. No need to go into retreat for long, just need to stop at the right time every day, not speak unnecessary words, not think things not to be thought, not embrace things not worth it. Compassion will be born and liberation is not far away.